So please give me a very warm hand for Mr. Andy Delatour.
John Morrison, let's keep it going for John Morrison at the Morrison Hotel. You can check out when you can't leave. Now, a few people chuckled. What was that from? Hotel California. That shows our age. It's a pleasure to be here. Are you enjoying the show so far? Yeah? Yeah, good. Yeah. You have to say yes, sitting there, I think. Oh, yeah. Otherwise, no, I'm not really. I don't really. No, you thought that was sick. You wait for the next 2 minutes. No, it's a pleasure to be here, ladies and gentlemen. As John said, and as you can probably guess from the accent, I'm not from these parts. From England, of course, and so I bring you greetings from the mothership. I'm just checking out you're okay since we let you leave home. Good, you're getting on fine. Was that the stupidest thing we Brits ever did? Losing America as a colony? Yeah, it was. The stupidest fucking thing we ever did. We kept hold of all the other places that are really useful. Canada and New Zealand, We got butter sent 14,000 miles across the world. That's worth it, wasn't it? No, but we lost the one colony that could have kept us rich for 300 years. And fed. Of course. In fact, if we hadn't lost you, if we'd been cleverer, there'd be a country, wouldn't there, called the United Kingdom of Great Britain, Northern Ireland, and this enormous farm over there. No, but we fucked up. Yeah. If we'd managed to hang on to you, you'd all be playing cricket, of course. Yeah. This is a game that takes 5 days, by the way. Which is longer than most wars, let's be honest. And you'd all be saying things like hard cheese or voyage. What beastly weather we're having. Nobody talks like that in England, right? Nobody, ever. I mean, maybe in Downton Abbey they talk like that. There's never been a family alive, by the way, or has ever lived like the family in Downton Abbey, right? Just to get that straight. In fact, it was a couple of weeks ago, I heard somebody here inadvertently refer to it as Downtown Abbey. Oh, that sort of sums it up. It's a very good time to be in New York. I think what I mean by that, it's a very good time for me not to be in England, because unless you've been on the planet Jupiter for a couple of weeks or just generally out of your head on drugs anyway, you'll know that the weekend before last, back home they were celebrating a party to celebrate the 60th year in the reign of Queen Elizabeth, right? Oh, a round of applause! A round of applause for her! So what? She gets to 60, there's nothing to kill her off, for God's sake! They don't lead their armies into battle anymore, you know. If Henry V had been on the throne for 60 years, that'd be something to clap for, I'll tell you. But you know, they declared a 4-day national holiday. 4 days, I mean, that's incredible. So I'm quite pleased to be away from that for a little while. Away from all that kind of mania. But one of the things that always struck me as quite interesting, if not affectionately quaint, is that a lot of you guys here have a very soft spot for our royal family, which I'm kind of trying to come to grips with. A year ago we had the last bout of royal family mania, yeah? Back in Britain there was the wedding between William and Kate, and I was watching it on TV back home, for research, obviously. And they suddenly said, we're going to cut live to New York, right? And they did, and they cut to Times Square, and there was 3,000 of you sitting watching the royal wedding live on a giant TV screen. I mean, for real. And then I worked out, my God, it was 6 o'clock in the morning here. I mean, I know New Yorkers are crazy, but you really are. I mean, this is incredible, man. I mean, 200 years ago, you had a revolution to get these monkeys off your back. Now here you are getting up in the middle of the night to watch them get married. George III, you know, he tried to starve you to death, yeah? Yeah, and here you are, you're watching his great, whatever, tying the knot. And he's wearing a red military tunic, just like the Brits did. In the War of Independence, I'm thinking, my God, how forgiving have you guys become? How big-hearted and generous you New Yorkers have become, my God. In 50 years' time, you'll be watching Osama bin Laden's granddaughter getting married on TV. You will. You will. Oh, we remember the Twin Towers, but doesn't she look pretty? My abiding memory of the wedding a year ago when I was watching it for research was I felt very sorry for the kid, for Kate. I really did. You know, this poor girl, I mean, she's pretty enough and she looked happy enough. And I think, well, you know, what does she think she's marrying into? You know, some kind of fairy tale? I mean, is that what she thinks? She's found her Prince Charming, she's going to live happily ever after. I mean, I don't know. You know, she should just take a look at what happens inside the British royal family. She should see what happened to her late mother-in-law, to Diana. She wants to see which way this particular fairy tale pans out. Well, we know what's coming then. 10 years of eating disorders, a couple of babies, get in the car, sweetheart. I told you it was sick. But I'm allowed to make jokes like that because they're my royal family. I mentioned the Twin Towers earlier. Am I allowed? Yeah, it depends how. It's all about context, isn't it? You know, yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't going to say. I was just going to say that it's kind of one of the kind of interesting things to me about the Twin Towers situation was that the whole kind of conspiracy theories that were flying around at the time. I mean, if this is too upsetting for anybody, I can go on to Pearl Harbor, if that's okay. If you feel more comfortable with that. Yeah? No, I can do that, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, like you remember how 19 Saudi terrorists bombed Pearl Harbor so you could declare war on Japan? There was a lot of conspiracy theories flying around at the time of 9/11. I don't know whether they still are. They were crazy. Whether the Ku Klux Klan, it was the MTA, or whatever the fuck it was called. But the one that had traction was that there was shadowy elements within the secret services that bombed the towers themselves, right? In order to create a reason to launch a war in the Middle East. Now, I have two small problems with that conspiracy theory. One is, since when did you guys ever need a reason to launch a war in the Middle East? Or indeed anywhere. But the other main problem I have with that theory is it conceivable the Secret Service could blow up the Twin Towers and keep it secret for 10 years when they can't even get a bunch of hookers into a hotel in Colombia and give a secret to Yeah, good. That's a fucking long build-up to a vague topical joke, isn't it? Which is very near the end of its use-by date anyway. What else will I do? Yes, conspiracy. We do have somebody who believes in a lot of conspiracy theories tonight. He came up to me earlier and he said when John produced this wonderful book, this book is written by this amazing guy Robert Caro, right? Lyndon Johnson, The Passage of Power. This book has taken Caro longer to write than I think LBJ lived. But it's an amazing book. Is there any way I can engineer it, John, so I can win that? No, probably wouldn't. No. But it's like with people saying with JFK that it wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald. It was like, you know, there was a kind of Oliver Stone thing. You know, there was 7,000 people involved in this conspiracy, and in 60 years, not one of them has broken rank. That's quite a thought, isn't it? Not one of them has felt the need to go on Oprah and confess. Yeah, it was me, I fucked up, I shouldn't have done it, I'm sorry. But I was vice president and I wanted to be the president. Sorry, Lyndon. What did you say, John? He's a saint? Is that what you said? Not sure about that. Ask a few Vietnamese peasants whether they think LBJ was a saint, but no, it wasn't remotely funny, I just thought I'd say it. Lee mentioned your president. I kind of dig your president, but he's a strange guy because he kind of blows hot and cold, you know, as you mentioned about the kill list deciding which Afghan shepherds to kill that day and call them terrorists. But you know, he came out in favour of gay marriage, and then he came out and to give an amnesty to these undocumented kids and everything. And I think that takes some doing. When you have a conservative right who make the Taliban look like free love dopeheads. But that's right. And but I think this is an outsider's perspective, you know. So Obama, to me, does good things, he does bad things. But part of me thinks, you know, does it really matter in a way how what he does when he's in office? Because in effect, surely the most important thing about Obama is your first black president. That is the cause for celebration, and that's what the history books are going to say, right? You know, in the beginning of the 21st century, President Barack Obama was the first. You know, they're not going to say, President Barack Obama was the president will be remembered for his sticky out ears. The guy nearly closed Guantanamo Bay. You're not going to say that, right? They'll say, no, he was your first black president. That's something to be proud of. And in a way, that's right. So what I think that, the most important thing Obama's been doing for the last 4 years, he's been black. And when he gets elected, which he will, he's going to be black for another 4 years. I think that's great. And you're way ahead of us on this, guys. So don't underestimate the importance of this for people in Europe and stuff, to have a black leader. I mean, I'm not kidding, we are 2 generations of a black leader in Britain. It's been interesting, I think, that you had a black president before you had a woman president. I mean, I've read various theories about that. Fuck knows why, probably just an accident, but I don't know. But anyway, do be careful what you wish for, of course, because we've had our first woman leader. And Margaret Thatcher, well, what can you say, Yeah. Margaret Thatcher, she was to feminism what Adolf Hitler was to racial harmony. She sure pulled the ladder up from underneath her when she got into office. No more girls at my party, I'm telling you that. Sarah, I'll finish this on this thought. Sarah Palin came to England last year to visit Margaret Thatcher. Do you remember that? I don't know if you read about it. She did. She came to visit Margaret Thatcher. And she came out of the meeting afterwards. She said, I've just met Mrs. Thatcher and I have to tell you, that woman talks a lot of sense. Margaret Thatcher has stage 3 Alzheimer's. And you know what? Sarah Palin, she didn't even notice. It's been great, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Andy Nelson. Enjoy the rest of the show. Bye.